Thank you all for being with us this morning. My name is Jackie Needis, and I'm the library's CEO, and I am so very thrilled to have the opportunity for us to be gathered here today to celebrate the construction of one of our first new libraries in a long time, frankly. Every once in a while, we're blessed to be able to get out in the community and do a spurt of improvements and things to our libraries. And then sometimes we're even doubly blessed to be able to bring a brand new library to a community. And there are all kinds of folks to thank who have made this possible. And we're not going to bring all of them up here to speak today, but we are going to bring a few of them up. And so I ask you to settle in. There's a couple more chairs up here if someone wants to sit down who's either juggling babies or coffee or whatever. We do have some very important participants in our process and in supporting your library system. So we want to welcome to the podium, first of all today, Lillian Charleston. And Lillian is the chair of our facilities committee. I have to tell you, the library board members are all volunteers. And just to give you an idea of how much they care about your public library, Lillian has now, this is her third day in a row that she has done work for the library. And I think that's just a great comment on our board members and how generous they are in leading your public library system. Several of the other board members are here today. Dr. Pat Payne is here. Okay, and many of you know Dr. Payne. She's had a long affiliation with our IPS school system and understands the value of libraries. And Dr. Terry Jett, who is on the faculty at one of our neighbor institutions, Butler University. So we're thrilled that they've been able to carve out one more morning this week to spend on library business. But I'd like to invite Lillian up for a few minutes because her work and leading the facilities committee has been extensive and very heartfelt. Lillian, come on up.
Thank you. Good morning. Oh, that just makes my heart go flutter. A special good morning to all of you, and to all the little guys. You know, we in the library are really pleased to see young people, and certainly we are very thrilled about early childhood development. And so we go from birth to seniors. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Indianapolis Public Library, it is my great pleasure to welcome you as well. I thought last night that when I heard the rain, I thought, oh, we might have 2 people or we might have 50, but this is very gratifying. The Library Administration and the Board of Trustees are very excited and pleased to initiate the construction of the Michigan Road branch today. It promises to be a cutting-edge facility with state-of-the-art library services in this very tranquil location. So I've heard some reservations about us cutting down some of the trees, but we're going to reuse as many of them as we can. This is an example of some of the lumber, but we're going to put it inside our library, use it for some of our tables, and so we want you to know that we are going to be very respectful of the property. The construction of this library is the result of a dynamic strategic planning process. It was enriched by extensive community involvement from probably many of you here. We determined that the southwest area of Washington Township along the Michigan Road corridor was underserved, and we said we had to do something about that. We want to strive to maximize the public's access to library services, facilities, and resources. Today's groundbreaking reinvigorates our commitment to you, and we want to work in a collaborative manner to better address needs for early childhood literacy, lifelong learning, and community engagement. I encourage you to use the library when it comes aboard. When is that? Do we say 2019? 2019 is the target date. And it will be one glorious day, and hopefully like this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian, and thank you for reminding us the long process that it took to reach today, because there was a lot of consensus building that has to happen. At this time, I would like to invite up to the podium someone who's been very instrumental in supporting the libraries over the years, and that is Counselor Monroe Gray. And Counselor Gray is the chair of the Municipal Corporations Committee. And while the public library might be a standalone municipal corporation, believe me, we have got to report to somebody. And we report back to the City County Council and specifically to the Municipal Corporations Committee. So we really appreciate their confidence in our ability to give the citizens of Indianapolis the quality library service that you all want and deserve. Counselor Gray, can you share a few words with us?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is indeed a pleasure to see all of you here and also to realize a dream that we had many years ago. Some of you are probably new to this process, but I see Carrie Mandis is here. 20-some years ago, we had a vision, we had a plan. We call it the Michigan Road Corridor Plan. And what we wanted to do was to improve the living conditions, the life conditions of the people along Michigan Road Corridor. At one time, we was in the run for the post office. We thought that we needed a post office up here, and when the one in New Augusta closed, we fought hard, but we lost out to our friends farther south on Michigan Road, Martin Luther King. So we did not give up the fight. We continued to fight, and Dr. Bert Savas told us a long time ago, it said, Carrie, Monroe, you guys are ahead of the curve. Eventually you're going to get a library up there, but it's going to take time. So today is the time. And we thank Jackie and all the people that have worked with us on the process of getting this done. I think that it would be a great asset to the community. I think that one thing we need to understand is that the library is not just for children. We think that the best way to get the kids to the library is that we take them to the library, that we spend some time with them at the library. At the opening of the new wing of the library last week, we heard some interesting stories about how young people started out in the library, and it was the kickoff in their career for what they was trying to do and what they're doing today. So, you know, just like they always say with the American Express card, you should never leave home without your library card.
Okay, you guys, that is every library staff person's dream, is when their city county councilor whips out his library card, right? All right, this is a really good sign. Well, one of the things about the City County Council is that they have districts, and sometimes it takes several counselors to represent a particular neighborhood. And when I used to be on the council, that made me sort of crazy, because you're trying to figure out, now I represent that part of the neighborhood, and somebody else represents that part of the neighborhood. And that happens up here too. At the end of the day, the really good thing about that is that you've got more people advocating for you. And so I'd also like to invite up to the podium today Councilor Joe Simpson, who represents this side of the street, right? And Counselor Gray is that side of the street. So between the two of them, you got lots of folks to call on. Counselor Simpson.
Woo, gotta put my gloves on. I want to start off saying God is good.
Yes.
All the time. Because as I told Jackie that when she called me about the library, I said, that's a done deal. You know, The nice thing about having a library in a community is it opens the door for many other opportunities, just as Councilor Gray said, for people to come in, use computers, jobs, as I told, a program. I mean, it is so much that this library is going to do for us, and I really appreciate the board, Jackie and the staff for really working on this a lot. I really want to take my hat off to Councilor Gray because he's been working on this. I get to come behind him a lot because he's done a lot up here. And I appreciate him a lot because he taught me a lot about this area up here. And I really want to say to everybody here today, treat this library as though it's next to home. You know, I don't have my library cards because my granddaughter got it. Yeah, I know it. She goes down to the 42nd and College library a lot, and I just reached in my pocket. I said, "Oh, it's not there. It's gone." So I just want everybody to know that God is good. Take care of this library just like you would take care of your home. Treat people, bring people, bring programs. Like I told them, just don't make it a library. Make it a community access center where you could do many things. And the biggest thing is you will be able to open up the doors for a lot of people in this community to see this thing. And I can't wait until the door opens. So I just want to say, everybody, thank you. Treat this as precious like a gem, because libraries are hard to come by in Indianapolis, and Councilor Gray can tell you how long has it been?
1999.
Martin Luther King Day, 1999.
Well, see, now you know how long that's been. And I'm just saying to you that treat this library as your own. Be sure the new director coming up here, I really appreciate her, coming up here. So if you need me, you know how to reach me, or you can reach Councilman Gray. Either way it go. But Jackie, I really want to tip my hat to you and say thank you.
Well, tall counselors there. Okay. You've heard a couple of references to how important our relationship with the City County Council is, but the fact also remains that at the end of the day, it's what the people on the ground are pushing for and being active about trying to get for their community. And in that sense, the folks at the Crooked Creek Community Development Corporation have been a voice for all of you for many years. And I'd like to invite Tom Lang to come up and share a couple comments with us. We know how much the grassroots neighborhood organizations mean in getting anything done in our city. Tom?
Well, it is a pleasure to be here, and I am so thankful that Carrie and Daniel and others that preceded me in the work at the CDC, they're here. They started this in 1999, and we thank you, and we're trying to carry the torch and keep things moving here in the Crooked Creek area. As a community development corporation, we work to improve housing, public infrastructure, and economic development. We strive to help our neighbors achieve their desired quality of life. One of the CDC's strategic initiatives focuses on whole family and whole person development. What can we do to assist children and adults reach their full potential and increase their upward mobility? Now, we know there's going to be a lot of families chomping at the bit to get into this library once it opens, and they're going to use it enthusiastically and routinely. And we also know there's a lot of families in our community that don't normally and routinely use libraries. They don't even maybe see a library as a resource. So in our strategic initiatives, we intend to help families understand resources that are available and how to access those resources to their advantage, including the library. So it'll be a key partnership. Besides the obvious value of providing books, CDs, DVDs, programs, as has been mentioned, one of the things that a library brings to a community is community space, just a place to convene and gather and build relationships, increase, strengthen, and broaden networks. We call that social capital. So the more awesome, safe, healthy, inviting, welcoming community spaces we have, and this will surely be one, the more likely it is that we as community members and our neighbors will strengthen their networks and their relationships, making it more likely that when we have times of need, when we need a job or to increase our job or other things like how to save money in our utilities, if we have a broader community network and relationships, we'll have more opportunity to solve those problems. So we know this space is going to be used in many, many ways. Some of those ways we can't even imagine today. We'll look back 10 years, 20 years from now, we'll be awed by all that's happened at this library. But one thing we know for sure today is that this groundbreaking is a sign of vitality and community health, and we're so thankful for the library for choosing this location.
I think you can assume, Tom, that this library will be a dedicated partner to your work in the community in the years ahead. There's a few people in the audience I want to just get a shout out from, if I can, before we move on to a real special guest for this morning, and that is the folks who actually deliver this for us in the community. And that includes our architect, the folks from KRM. Can we see a shout out from those of you who are here? Yes? Several of them around the audience. They have done a wonderful job. They have been really responsive to the community, and they've been creative in their profession, and we're really grateful and impressed by that. We also have with us today Leo Stentz and some of the folks from Stentz Construction, who are the ones who are very anxiously already chomping at the bit to get this thing going. Can we have a shout out for the Stentz folks? I would not want to move on without also giving a word of compliments and thanks to the members of our staff who have worked very hard in the last year on kind of a pretty fast track to make sure that we were able to get here today. I know John Helling, our Director of Public Services, is here. Sharon Smith, who is our Director of Facilities, is here. Becky Dixon, who is the finance wizard who helped us figure out how to pay for this thing. Staff members who work behind the scenes to make sure that today and the next decades of service here in this community are possible. My thanks to all of you. Our last speaker today is someone who knows a great deal about the journey that has brought us to today. Many of you know, including a couple of our library board members who have been with us for a while, that coming to this location was in some ways a complicated decision for us, because we do not have an unlimited amount of resources. However good Becky Dixon is at printing money for us, at the end of the day, there are choices. And we had to make a choice that was especially challenging for us and in many ways painful. We had to make a choice to change what we're doing at the Flanner House facility in order to expand and bring a big library up here. We will still maintain a relationship with the Flanner House Multi-Service Center. We have been with them for decades. And the person who knows the most about what we have been in that neighborhood and who is going to be key to how we can retain those relationships and who can welcome all of our Flanner House regulars to their new home up here is the Flanner House manager, Denise Malone. And I'm so proud to tell you all that Denise will be the manager of the new library here as well. And we see that as a real statement of confidence of how we can keep those relationships strong between the communities, because Denise has been a product of the Flanner House community and is well poised and prepared to lead our library up here on Michigan Road. Denise, come on up.
Thank you, Jackie. As many have said earlier today already, this has been a long time coming. And boy, are we excited about breaking ground for our Michigan Road Library. We began the process with our architects actually began the process earlier this year by having community meetings, and some of you were there at those meetings. And from those meetings, they got information about what people would like in the design of the building. They heard natural lighting, open space, meeting areas. So if you look around at the renderings today, they did exactly that. And you can also go to the library's website, IndyPL.org, and look at the renderings as well. They went through the process of hearing from the community and listening to the community and designing what the community wants for their library. And you've already heard about the cutting down of the trees and the reuse of the trees. 19 of the trees will be reused for materials in the library, so that is a great thing. I would like to also thank the Flanner House Library staff, who some are here today, that will be coming and joining us here at Michigan Road Branch. We've also thanked already the construction company, the Stents Construction Company, and we're glad that they are able to build our building. But we also want to give a special shout out to Reverend Pastor Fields, who is the pastor of Bethesda Temple Apostolic Church, where we're here today, that sold us this land. So we want to give him a shout out as well. And I want to also give a shout out to Principal Eric Schumer of St. Monica. We're glad to have them as our neighbors, and he's here as well as some of the students from St. Monica. And we want to give them a shout out today as well. So again, we look forward to this, and as Jackie mentioned, some of our Flanner House patrons, some are here today, and I want to give them a shout out as well for coming to our Michigan Road groundbreaking, as well as the business director at Flanner House Community Center, Ms. Green. I'm glad you're here with us today too. So without further ado, I think we're ready to break the ground.
Dig them in there. All right. Let's put them in there.
All right, folks, one more right here. Big smile.
I know it's great. Thank you.